undergoes very slow decomposition, mainly by white rot fungi and actinomycetes. Its half-life under temperate conditions is about 6 months. 183. Horizons. A horizontal layer of the soil, whose physical features, composition and age are distinct from those above and beneath, is referred to as a soil horizon. The naming of a horizon is based on the type of material of which it is composed. Those materials reflect the duration of specific processes of soil formation. They are labeled using a shorthand notation of letters and numbers which describe the horizon in terms of its color, size, texture, structure, consistency, root quantity pH, voids, boundary characteristics and presence of nodules or concretions. 184. No soil profile has all the major horizons. Some called entisols may have only one horizon or are currently considered as having no horizon, in particular incipient soils from unreclaimed mining waste deposits. 185. Moraines. 186. Volcanic cones. 187. Sand dunes or alluvial terraces. 188. Upper soil horizons may be lacking in truncated soils following wind or water ablation, with concomitant downslope burying of soil horizons, a natural process aggravated by agricultural practices such as tillage. 189. The growth of trees is another source of disturbance, creating a microscale heterogeneity which is still visible in soil horizons once trees have died. 190. By passing from a horizon to another, from the top to the bottom of the soil profile, one goes back in time, with past events registered in soil horizons like in sediment layers. Sampling pollen, testitomoba and plant remains in soil horizons may help to reveal environmental changes, for example climate change, land use change, which occurred in the course of soil formation. 191. Soil horizons can be dated by several methods such as radiocarbon, using pieces of charcoal provided they are of enough size to escape pedoturbation by earthworm activity and other mechanical disturbances. 192. Fossil soil horizons from paleosols can be found within sedimentary rock sequences, allowing the study of past environments. 193. The exposure of parent material to favorable conditions produces mineral soils that are marginally suitable for plant growth, as is the case in eroded soils. 194. The growth of vegetation results in the production of organic residues, which fall on the ground as litter for plant aerial parts, leaf litter, or are directly produced below ground for subterranean plant organs, root litter, and then release dissolved organic matter. 195. The remaining superficial organic layer, called the O-horizon, produces a more active soil due to the effect of the organisms that live within it. Organisms colonize and break down organic materials, making available nutrients upon which other plants and animals can live. 196. After sufficient time, humus moves downward and is deposited in a distinctive organic mineral surface layer called the A-horizon, in which organic matter is mixed with mineral matter through the activity of burrowing animals, a process called pedoturbation. This natural process does not go to completion in the presence of conditions detrimental to soil life such as strong acidity, cold climate or pollution, stemming in the accumulation of undecomposed organic matter within a single organic horizon overlying the mineral soil. 197. And in the juxtaposition of humified organic matter and mineral particles, without intimate mixing, in the underlying mineral horizons. 198. Classification. One of the first soil classification systems was developed by Russian scientist Vasily Dokhakiv around 1880. 199. It was modified a number of times by American and European researchers and was developed into the system commonly used until the 1960s. It was based on the idea that soils have a particular morphology based on the materials and factors that form them. In the 1960s, a different classification system began to emerge which focused on soil morphology instead of parental materials and soil-forming factors. Since then, it has undergone further modifications. The World Reference Base for Soil Resources, 200, aims to establish an international reference base for soil classification. Uses. Soil is used in agriculture, where it serves as the anchor and primary nutrient base for plants. The types of soil and available moisture determine the species of plants that can be cultivated. Agricultural soil science was the primeval domain of soil knowledge, long time before the advent of pedology in the 19th century. However, as demonstrated by aeroponics, aquaponics and hydroponics, soil material is not an absolute essential for agriculture, and soilless cropping systems have been claimed as the future of agriculture for an endless growing mankind. 201. Soil material is also a critical component in mining, construction and landscape development industries. 202. Soil serves as a foundation for most construction projects. The movement of massive volumes of soil can be involved in surface mining, road building and dam construction. Earth sheltering is the architectural practice of using soil for external thermal mass against building walls. Many building materials are soil-based. Loss of soil through urbanization is growing at a high rate in many areas and can be critical for the maintenance of subsistence agriculture. 203. Soil resources are critical to the environment, as well as to food and fiber production, producing 98.8% of food consumed by humans. 204. Soil provides minerals and water to plants according to several processes involved in plant nutrition. Soil absorbs rainwater and releases it later, thus preventing floods and drought. Flood regulation being one of the major ecosystem services provided by soil. 205. Soil cleans water as it percolates through it. 206. Soil is the habitat for many organisms. The major part of known and unknown biodiversity is in the soil, in the form of earthworms, woodlice, millipedes, centipedes, snails, slugs, mites, springtails, enchytroids, nematodes, protists, bacteria, archaea, fungi and algae, and most organisms living above ground have part of them, plants, or spend part of their life cycle, insects, below ground. 207. Above ground and below ground biodiversities are tightly interconnected. 157. 208. Making soil protection of paramount importance for any restoration or conservation plan. The biological component of soil is an extremely important carbon sink, since about 57% of the biotic content is carbon. Even in deserts, cyanobacteria, lichens and mosses form biological soil crusts which capture and sequester a significant amount of carbon by photosynthesis. Poor farming and grazing methods shaved degraded soils and released much of this sequestered carbon to the atmosphere. Restoring the world's soils could offset the effect of increases in greenhouse gas emissions and slow global warming, while improving crop yields and reducing water needs. 209, 210, 211. Waste management often has a soil component. Septic drain fields treat septic tank effluent using aerobic soil processes. Land application of wastewater relies on soil biology to aerobically treat water. Alternatively, landfills use soil for daily cover, isolating waste deposits from the atmosphere and preventing unpleasant smells. Composting is now widely used to treat aerobically solid domestic waste and dried effluents of settling basins. Although compost is not soil, biological processes taking place during composting are similar to those occurring during decomposition and humification of soil. Organic matter. 212. Organic soils, especially peat, serve as a significant fuel and horticultural resource. Peat soils are also commonly used for the sake of agriculture in Nordic countries, because peatland sites, when drained, provide fertile soils for food production. 213. However, wide areas of peat production, such as rain-fed sphagnum bogs, also called blanket bogs or raised bogs, are now protected because of their patrimonial interest. As an example, Flow Country, covering 4,000 square kilometers of rolling expanse of blanket bogs in Scotland, is now candidate for being included in the World Heritage List. Under present-day global warming, peat soils are thought to be involved in a self-reinforcing, positive feedback process of increased emission of greenhouse gases, methane and carbon dioxide, and increased temperature. 214. A contention which is still under debate when replaced at field scale and including stimulated plant growth. 215. Geophagy is the practice of eating soil-like substances. Both animals and humans occasionally consume e-soil for medicinal, recreational, or religious purposes. 216. It has been shown that some monkeys consume e-soil, together with their preferred food, tree foliage and fruits, in order to alleviate tannin toxicity. 217. Soils filter and purify water and affect its chemistry. Rainwater and pooled water from ponds, lakes and rivers percolate through the soil horizons and the upper rock strata, thus becoming groundwater. Pests, viruses, and pollutants, such as persistent organic pollutants, chlorinated pesticides, polychlorinated biphenyls, oils, hydrocarbons, heavy metals, lead, zinc, cadmium, and excess nutrients, nitrates, sulfates, phosphates, are filtered out by the soil. 218. Soil organisms metabolize them or immobilize them in their biomass and necromass. 219. Thereby incorporating them into stable humus. 220. The physical integrity of soil is also a prerequisite for avoiding landslides in rugged landscapes. 221. Degradation. Land degradation is a human-induced or natural process which impairs the capacity of land to function. 222. Soil degradation involves acidification, contamination, desertification, erosion or salination. 223. Acidification. Soil acidification is beneficial in the case of alkaline soils, but it degrades land when it lowers crop productivity, soil biological activity, and increases soil vulnerability to contamination and erosion. Soils are initially acid and remain such when their parent materials are low in basic cations, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. On parent materials which are in weatherable minerals, acidification occurs when basications are leached from the soil profile by rainfall or exported by the harvesting of forest or agricultural crops. Soil acidification is accelerated by the use of acid-forming nitrogenous fertilizers and by the effects of acid precipitation. Deforestation is another cause of soil acidification, mediated by increased leaching of soil nutrients in the absence of tree canopies. 224. Contamination. Soil contamination at low levels is often within a soil's capacity to treat and assimilate waste material. Soil biota can treat waste by transforming it, mainly through microbial enzymatic activity. 225. Soil organic matter and soil minerals can adsorb the waste material and decrease its toxicity. 226. although when in colloidal form they may transport the adsorbed contaminants to subsurface environments. 227. Many waste treatment processes rely on this natural bioremediation capacity. Exceeding treatment capacity can damage soil biota and limit soil function. Derelict soils occur where industrial contamination or other development activity damages the soil to such a degree that the land cannot be used safely or productively. Remediation of derelict soil uses principles of geology, physics, chemistry and biology to degrade, attenuate, isolate or remove soil contaminants to restore soil functions and values. Techniques include leaching,